Well, welcome to the first live event for the Mexican Soccer Show. I am Wiso from futmexsource.com. Today we make history of being the very first time group of us were coming on and we're talking about Mexican football all around. I want to introduce our special guest for this live event. We have Tom Marshall at Mexico World Cup with us from Guadalajara, Jalisco. How are you doing, Marshall?
Not bad, Wiso. Yeah, good to be on and going live, and hopefully people send us a few questions and comments so we can get answering.
Definitely. Well, as you can see, we tweeted out the links already. We tweeted out with all of our accounts on how you can interact with us and how the show will work out. Also, we have Jason from New Jersey joining us live. How's it going, Jason?
It's going great. I'm actually in the process of starting to move. I'm moving to just outside of Philly, back to Pennsylvania. So I'm excited that you're not going to have to say coming to you from New Jersey anymore. So I'm all excited for that.
I would have to say Philadelphia from now.
Yeah. So just a slight change. You'll have to adapt. But, we'll get it.
It's going to take a while. All right. Well, we have, like we said, you have the opportunity to interact with us for the very first time on the comments here with on this YouTube face. Go ahead, send us your questions already coming in. For example, Leonardo da Vinci is actually on, and any news of Jurgen Damm, any transfers. We have the Bomb JD08 saying yo. So definitely going to be very fun listening.
Just yo.
Just yo. Listening to you guys.
That's good.
Hearing your chats, hearing what we can do. For example, I have to kick off the kids online of FIFA so they don't mess up with the stream. Wilito71. So we're going to have a lot of fun today talking about El Tri. And if you hear something that you want to interact, we'll definitely be sure to point it out and talk about it. So this should be fun. All right, well, let's get right to it. Let's talk about the big news of the day, what we've been hearing for the last 2 days, almost 3 days, and it was really a pretty big news in Mexican soccer with Raul Jimenez going to Atletico de Madrid. Very excited. I know personally when this happened, I saw the news, a little skeptical, but it looks like it will be happening. First thoughts, guys, on the move, on how much the transfer and just the surprise. Did he just take Chicharito's spot from that transfer? What's going on? Tom, let's hear from you on your overall take of Raul Jimenez.
I think it's absolutely brilliant for him. I think it's brilliant for Mexican football in general. I mean, Atletico Madrid, obviously, people out there know, one of the elite European teams, Champions League finalists, La Liga champions. And Raul Jimenez going there, when you look at Atletico's squad, he's going to have a decent chance at minutes as well, so it's a perfect scenario. The only thing that's slightly off is that Jimenez, one of those things with younger players, he tweeted out that he's a big Real Madrid fan, which obviously the Atletico Madrid fans haven't been too happy with when they've when they've been answering him on social media. I think that yeah, it's great. It's great for the game in general, and I think that it's come about because Atletico Madrid were trying to get Jackson Martinez, who Chiapas fans will know from back in the day, from Porto, but he was being quoted at like 30 to 40 million euros, which obviously Atletico Madrid were not willing to pay. So instead, it looks like they've gone for Raul Jimenez, which, if you look at the Mexican press, between 10 and 15 million euros, I think it's a fair price. I think America comes out looking really good because they weren't keen to do business at a lower price than that. So all of a sudden this really big club comes in, and I think everyone's a winner with this deal. I'm genuinely, don't say this much, but genuinely excited by this.
Exactly, it was very surprising, and what I like about it is that we kept speculating on and off in the last week and a half. Peláez, America, they don't want to get rid of their players. They're going back with Porto, that they don't want to sell them cheap. We had this problems, a lot of hate on Peláez and also America. Well, obviously, Mohamed and Peláez' relationship with the Atletico coach, we're looking at maybe there was already something in the talks about it. Maybe they were already talking, and that's why they didn't want to release Raul Jimenez for a measly 6-7 million, looking for a 10 million mark in the market when they had a better offer in talks. And I think it was a huge surprise how it's great for America to see the youngster, probably one of the best prospects that we have, and going into Atletico, which is, let's say, they're the champions of La Liga, and they're going to have a lot of tournaments, and not only that, having a key signing for him. I like the fact that Raul Jimenez, the way that he is at Rudo, he doesn't, stay away from me. He likes to use his body. He's a tall guy, 190 in the meters-wise. So I think he's going to do great. Jason, your initial thoughts on obviously the signing that's going to be announced, hopefully by tomorrow, looking to Wednesday to be the presentation, if obviously something doesn't fall through, which can happen every moment. But
it's just really exciting. I'm really excited for Mexico and for Jimenez. Like, he's skipping the Porto step. He's skipping that intermediate, just at the cusp kind of European. He's moving right to the big European club, so it's super exciting. And that maybe this is a trend, but it's really exciting because I feel like, and two things, like with Jimenez, like in that he is really a proven player. He's been with America, and he's really like shown his grit and his work with the team and with the national team. And I think he is really a player that's primed for the big stage. He has all the tools. He's just like that, like kind of that classic multi-tool guy. He can do so many different things. So I'm really excited because I think this could be huge for Mexico and for him, because I really, it's not like a player where like we put him in a big spot and like, oh, I hope he does well. Like, he's a player, you're putting him in a big spot, and I know he's going to do well. I have like really good confidence in this guy, and like it's really exciting seeing him that big money transfer and that big move. It's just exciting.
I think I'm confident he'll do well. I think he might struggle early on because I mean this is like we mentioned, this is skipping Porto. This is skipping that stepping stone to a big European club. I mean, this is going straight from the Mexican league to the big time, and very few players historically have done that from Mexico. I mean, the obvious example is Chicharito. I mean, when Hugo Sanchez played for Atletico, I mean that was, at that time, they were like a stepping stone, and that's why he moved on then to Real Madrid. Look at Rafa Marquez to Monaco, and then to Barcelona. I mean, there's only really Chicharito that you can say in the history of the Mexican game that I can think of right now at the top of my head, which has made this big move from the Mexican League straight up there, straight up there in a top team. So I think he might struggle at the beginning, but I'm confident as well that he'll do well. I mean, he's always had that little bit of, I don't know, that something special about him. Obviously, that goal that he scored against, was it Panama? Incredible overhead kick. But he's also won the title with America. He's taken him to the, he's been a key figure in a title challenging team over a few seasons now. So I think it all bodes well. I think America, like I said, Diego Reyes sold him to Porto, and now Raul Jimenez. This is a team that, not traditionally known for producing players, and now it's almost superseding Chivas. I mean, Chivas, I can't imagine a Chivas player in the current squad making a move to Europe anytime soon. I mean, just, maybe Toño Rodriguez is the most likely, the goalkeeper. I mean, but I can't even see that happening. And then you look at America, and really just churning out players, and it's great to see one of the bigger Mexican clubs doing it. I tell you, one other thing about Raul Jimenez is it was quite interesting listening to Tuca Ferretti today, the Tigres manager, and talking about the difference between how Jimenez has played this transfer saga this summer compared to Alan Pulido. I think Jimenez has handled it very well, and I think he's made it clear with the media and to Club America that he wanted to go. He said, this is my dream, if the offer comes in, I want to be there, but he didn't force it. And I think where you can force transfers in European football, I think the power of the owners and the Liga in Mexico makes it a lot more difficult to do for players. Players, quite simply, don't have the same amount of power as they do in Europe. So I think Jimenez in that respect has played it perfectly, where Pulido's looking a bit, I don't know, I mean, nobody really knows what the deal is, and it looks like it's going to go to to be a legal proceeding, and a judge will decide his fate.
Exactly, especially what we've been hearing from Tuca Ferretti's press conference today, saying in his very Tuca form, and a couple of bad words here and there, talking to the press, saying, well, you know what, go to Europe when you have a contract with whatever company you work for. No, he didn't come in. Tuca's very, he does say what he says on his mind, but he's also he's 100% sure that he has a contract and that he needed to do that. So what's going on with Pulido is definitely sad, but at the same time, I don't think it's a surprise. The legalities of it, we'll definitely see what can happen. It's already affected Pulido. We're talking to Cesar today. If you missed the Express show live that we had a little while ago, how he might not be called to the El Tri against Chile because he is not playing. He's not as a result. He's in Mexico City training right now, at least keeping his rhythm together to figure out where he's going to go. I know we heard Olympiacos a little while ago. We heard, a couple of transfers here and there, but nothing definitely concrete. But back to really quick on, obviously, Raul Jimenez. What did they see in this player in the last, 3 months to take him and to be one of the biggest signings? He didn't play at the World Cup. I guess from what he just saw against Atleti, obviously when they had that, he only scored that PK in the PK shootout, which is amazing, by the way. But the scouts are definitely there, so we definitely have to trust that they've been looking at him for a while. They're looking at what he was doing before, because it's not like he has done otherwise. In the last 3 weeks, he has been exceptional with how many scores, the ratio between goals and games scored. So I think that's great for any Mexican fan, and obviously for what's happening. Any thoughts on Pulido, Jason, with what obviously Tom was mentioning in his case?
I just kind of wonder, Tom mentioned it from the player side. I also kind of look at the team side and where America is really looking good for. Obviously, they got the big money and they're going to make that transfer. But Tigres, I wonder, they're not looking so great either, because obviously it's the system that they're under and whether this. They're going to discuss this contract's legality and whatnot, but it doesn't look great for the team that, Pulido's kind of been dangling around, and whether he's going to go to Europe again, kind of almost a Fabian situation. So it's just not looking great on Tigres, and I don't know. You can imagine from the player's perspective with Pulido, where it seemed like he was going, and whether he was told that he was going, and then he was coming back and going back and forth, where he's kind of just kind of get this done, and you kind of see it from his perspective where it's kind of a tough situation. But yeah, Jimenez in America looking great, and Pulido and Tigres not looking so great at the moment.
Yeah, I'll tell you what's going on with Pulido though. This hasn't come out much in the press, although it has been mentioned here and there. He was at an agency, a players' agency, and one of the guys in that agency, actually about 5 blocks down the road from my house, one of the agents left to go on his own. Now, he wanted to take Pulido with him, but the agency said that Pulido still had a contract, and this is completely outside of Tigres. So Pulido's also in a legal battle between promoters, agents, who's going to represent him. So, and I know from just hearing things from agents and people in the game that, for example, there is an offer from Standard Liège from Belgium. But the problem for Pulido at the minute is that Tigres think he's got a contract. So a club that's interested would then have to go to Tigres, you know what I mean? Obviously, you've got a contract with the club, you have to buy out the contract. That's what a transfer fee is. But and then Pulido's camp is saying, no, you don't have to deal with Tigres, you deal with us. So these European clubs that are interested, and they definitely are, we've heard Olympiacos is the big one. We've heard Standard Liège is definitely interested, and I think Porto's been rumoured by John Sutcliffe at ESPN as well. So there are clubs interested, but it's Pulido at the minute's got two agents who claim to represent him. He's apparently got a contract with Tigres, and nobody. So if you're a European club, who are you going to speak to? I mean, it's just an absolute mess, and I think hopefully it gets sorted out sooner rather than later, because we've got these Mexican friendlies coming up, and I can't see Pulido being involved. And his career seemed to be going, on a really steep rise for a time then. And he came into the Mexican national team, he scored goals instantly. So But I mean that's a bit of the background about what's gone on with Pulido and why this is just such an absolute mess now.
Well, that's definitely. Thanks for that explanation, Tom. Looking at the two promotores, obviously it is a problem, all around with what's going on, and we're gonna have to wait for it in the court. So, just a couple of reactions from the board. You see, Tom, I think we might have some problems with your. If it's working, we don't know. But hopefully, if it is, Tom, you there? You good?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, we're good. Always, it's the first live event. Thank you for being patient, everybody. But we have some possible, obviously, reactions that when we asked the question, what do you think about Raul Jimenez transfer? Mexican Reformer said exceptional. A lot of people just kind of excited for Raul. MIKJ48 says, was it official? We don't know yet. It's been obviously been leaked, and Piojo did talk about it today with Cesar, actually. I didn't want to say that it's exclusive, but he was talking about it, that he might not be able to call Raul because he might leave. He might have to go to, obviously, to his new club. So we're talking about that. But
it seems official. I mean, yeah. No, not official. Sorry, it seems like it's going to happen because one, Belais, the America sporting director, when Porto were bidding, he was saying, no, this is ridiculous. This is nowhere near what we're asking. There's no way this player is going. We're not going to gift this player. We're not going to, give him away as a present. And then Atletico Madrid came in with their offer, and he was like, no, it's a good offer. We're taking this seriously. So I think it's going to happen.
Good. Yeah, it's a little different. It's a little different than the when Chicharito was moving to Atletico, right? Everyone jumped on that tweet or whatever. This is a little different because they're already talking about it. Coach is already talking about it. I think it's definitely going to happen unless something falls through the crack, which I could definitely see happening. It was almost there for whatever reason. We don't know if it's one to the other. But all right. Well, moving on in the Europeos talk, obviously Memo Ochoa. Just to talk briefly, Tom and Jason, were you able to watch the game that he had? Obviously not having the best of games. Probably, I think, a mistake that he had, obviously coming out of his line a little bit early, and a goal definitely was directed from him. A lot of slack from him on Twitter. Obviously, people talking about but your thoughts on, if you did watch that play and you watched the game, Tom or Jason?
Well, it's just a good time to get the gaffes out, right? I mean, it's bad timing. It's your first game over there, and all eyes are on you in some respect. But at the same time, get the mistakes out now. It's gonna be fine. I mean, these things happen to every goalkeeper. Even the greatest ones have these mistakes. Ochoa's a great goalkeeper. It's not a big deal. I mean, have these mistakes. He's gonna get to know his defenders, and he's gonna figure things out a little bit better. One mistake, no big deal.
Definitely good. I know a lot of people were talking about how he can't come out. I haven't seen him mess up like that since his America days. I tweeted that out. So it's not like it was happening a lot in the Ajaxio days for whatever reason. So hopefully, like you said, it should come out. But Tom, any thoughts on the Ochoa? If you caught the game or saw the replay?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'd add to that is that is the doubt that people have picked up on about Ochoa. Is that coming out, you know what I mean? Coming out to get the ball in those kind of situations. It's never been about his shot stopping. He's always been absolutely brilliant at that. So, I think that it's pre-season. It's not ideal because he needs to be picking up the confidence in the pre-season. But at the same time, let's judge him when La Liga kicks off in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Good to see that. Let's go on to some questions that we've had that are tweeted out. One that's coming in from Josh Barajas FC at his Twitter. He asked, what do you guys think it'll take for Mexicans to be exported to Europe like Argentines and Brazilians? Tom, you wanna take that question?
The wages to be lower in the Mexican league. I mean, the wages are extremely high in Mexico, probably comparable to mid to lower table Spanish teams in general. So players don't have the same incentive as they do in Argentina as Brazil to go there. And to be honest, I think Mexico's almost at a good level at the minute. I think you look at Raul Jimenez and players like Pulido and Marco Fabian, where they've got a few years behind them in the Liga MX. So, and we've enjoyed watching them here. And I think that then they have to make the next step up. But I think happens in Argentina. I mean, I watched River Plate on Sunday, and he played. The strike force was 2 teenagers. I mean, this is River Plate. You know what I mean? A massive, giant club. Then you had Boca Juniors with 4 debutants, and it's like, yeah, it's good for these young players to be given a chance. But an Argentine player plays well for 6 months, and then he gets shipped off. And I think that's not ideal either. So, although I can't see it changing, I hope that with players like Raul Jimenez and and the success that I think this season that the Mexicans are going to have in Spain and Portugal, that European clubs will be willing to pay that little bit more for a Mexican player, so that more will go over there. Like I said, the likes of Marco Fabian and maybe Gullit Peña and players like that.
Good. Great. Keep swinging us your questions on the chat and also on Twitter, and we will pick some to talk about. Another one question from, let's see here, asking about Kubo Torres, asking if will Kubo return to Mexico? Tony Joseph Leva was asking that. Jason, or what are your thoughts of you returning and how well he's doing in the MLS? And you're one of the very few. I'm just kidding. You're definitely on the MLS, like watching and obviously what's going on. What can you tell us about Kubo Torres and how excellent he's doing in Chivas USA?
Yeah, Kubo is definitely taking off. Whether he returns to Mexico, I don't know. I don't know a ton about what's going on with Kubo. Tom, can you talk to that?
Yeah, I mean, I actually chatted to him a couple of weeks ago, and this kid's just a real Chivas fan. I mean, he's a really legitimate Chivas fan. I remember he scored a goal against Atlas in the Clásico, and he threw up like the Chivas Porra sign and all that, and he's like, he really means it. I mean, he's one of the fans, and I'd love to see him back at Chivas. The problem is that Chivas USA have got a buyout clause. I don't know what it is, but the way he's playing and the amount of attention he's getting and the goals he's scoring, if it's a reasonable size fee, then the Chivas USA or whatever franchise it's going to turn into next season is definitely going to buy him. I mean, why wouldn't they? I mean, Southern California as well with the the Latino presence and stuff. I mean, he's a highly marketable guy as well. So I think his immediate future is staying in MLS, and I think he might after another year go to Europe, and I think he might have to wait to come back to Chivas till he's in his late 20s, early 30s. But we'll see. Chivas they're absolutely dying for a player like Kubo. I think Kubo's got like 14 goals in 19 games or something like. Oh no, 22 games in MLS, 14 and 22, and Chivas as a team, a whole team, they've got 15 goals in 20 games. So you can see like he's almost got the same scoring rate as Chivas at present, and they're dying for a strike. I mean, Aldo de Nigris just isn't cutting it. Omar Bravo's missing chances. Even Carlos Fierro the other day wasn't able to take his chances. So as much as I'd love Kubo Torres back in Chivas, I don't think it's going to happen very soon.
Yeah. Many questions coming in. Obviously, how he's doing. He was definitely part of the MLS All-Stars, the game, which I know a lot of people were wanting to talk. And we're talking about maybe a Liga MX versus an All-Star, MLS All-Stars, instead of a game like against Bayern Munich, which a lot of people were wondering. I think it started from.
That'd be brilliant. How good would it be? The interest that'd generate, and imagine the players. I mean, the players would absolutely go at it, wouldn't they? I mean, the MLS guys would be desperate to beat them. The Mexican guys aren't gonna, they're not gonna like getting defeated by MLS either. So that'd be it's a great idea. And if it doesn't happen every year, then it should be, once every 2 years. You know what I mean? MLS and the Liga MX All Stars face off. That'd be great.
Definitely. All right. Well, let's move on. Piojo did have a press conference today, obviously, about he was promoting the game that's coming up in San Francisco against Chile, in what's coming on. We were talking about impromptu. Wasn't very broadcasted that he will be there and talking about what he is doing and what he's going to be obviously showcasing. He didn't say anything about the players. The only thing he did talk about was Rafa Marquez, how what's going on with he didn't say that he wasn't going to not call Rafa Marquez. He's just giving him a lot to some time off. So not too much on anything except for Cesar did get a little bit about the players that he will obviously call and try to talk to coming up for the friendly. So I'm excited about being there. I know that I think Cesar said that he was going to be there, and also I will be there to make sure that we get some coverage on what's going on. But yeah, any thoughts on Tom, really quickly, on the press conference coming in on the game? Saying that maybe he will not be calling Raul, or he will not be calling also Rafa Marquez, and even maybe Pulido, obviously, since he doesn't have a team.
You go for it, Jason. What do you reckon?
Well, I mean, I'm just like, I really hope that he does go with some of the youth, and we start to see some of these young guys come in, because we don't need to see Rafa Marquez go out there. We know we can do, and like one of the failings, I think, of the many failings of the Chepo tenure was that he relied on too much of the senior players, that really had no business in World Cup preparation. And a lot of the youth players were stuck on the sidelines. So like I'd like to see that so much far removed from major tournaments at this point. Start to bring in some guys who haven't seen a lot of playing time, who've been on these rosters but haven't played a ton. You want to see like Brizuela being like a main guy in this team. Some of these other guys start to come through and really see a mixed squad and see what these players can do. Obviously, you want to put have some of your stars there to sell the game, and obviously to keep them in the mix with everyone else. But like that would be something you'd really like to see, like some of these younger players really coming through. And you no need for someone like Marquez, obviously.
Definitely, and
the thing I didn't understand about this Rafa Marquez situation was it like a month ago or something, or a few weeks ago, Piojo said he's not going to call up Rafa Marquez or Carlos Salcido. He actually said that he's already spoken to Rafa Marquez about it, and told him thanks very much for everything you've done for the national team. And then he went on Twitter, Herrera, and said, I don't know why these the media are saying that you're saying that Rafa Marquez won't be called up again, and it's like, but you said it in front of a lot of press guys. It's like, why? How's that just changed around? So I don't know what's going on with Rafa Marquez. I think Rafa Marquez now should be given one of the 2 games that's left this year in Mexico. I think he should come back and be given like a
send-off
game. Like, just he's deserved it. He's an absolute legend for Mexico. And I think that should be it. I mean, I do think that Mexico are a bit short in the centre-back positions. Don't get me wrong. I do think that as well. But I mean, I think it's now time to hand over the baton to Diego Reyes. We've seen that Mangala today from Porto has moved to Manchester City officially. So Diego Reyes is going to be playing week in, week out now for Porto. So it's time for him to step up. He's 21 years old, Olympic gold medalist, Liga MX champion, absolute class act. So let's put him in there. That's what they did with Rafa Marquez when he was 21. They stuck him in there and said, Rafa, your quality, go and show the world what you can do. And I think it's now time for Diego Reyes to step up. I think Iran Mier on the right side, and the Hector Moreno, when he's fit, is going to be decent. But I do worry that beyond that there isn't enough real depth at the centre back positions. But I don't know. Rafa Marquez, for me, I think that's he's had a great career. He's over in Europe as well. I mean, is he really going to be wanting to travel back from playing in Serie A and then playing like a game in Honduras, and then going back to Italy? I mean, I can't imagine his body holding up at his age.
I think it also has to do with.
Don't you hold off on the send-off games for like when they're in their 40s. Isn't that like how we do things here in Mexico? At least that's the understanding I got. So anyway.
I think it also.
Still playing.
I think he also was talking to him, and I think it just kind of. I mean, maybe he didn't say he wasn't going to call him, but just give him some time off to rest, maybe, and I think that's why. But I definitely see Rafa getting, in the next, especially this year, either a send-off, or who knows. I know that's one of the reasons why Rafa went to Italy, to have a obviously more competitive league, to stay in the game. I think there was an interview that he had that he's still going. He still wants to be a top and inform, and that's why he went to a league where he could still, obviously excel and have that rhythm that the European leagues have. So we'll see, obviously, where that takes off. But as far as some more questions that are coming in, comments that are coming in next to the podcast, if you see that on your right, if you're watching live, obviously there's some question about Jürgen Damm going to Hannover 96. Even speaking of my Chivas, is there light at the end of the tunnel? A lot of the Chivas fans, we fear your pain. One thing that one of the questions, at least Luis de Anda, does Mexico have the U21 players this time around to compete in the Olympics of 2016? And it's funny you mentioned that, because 2 years ago, this is the 2-year anniversary of Mexico winning the gold medal from Brazil at Wembley Stadium. When we obviously saw that, nobody thought that would happen, looking for a medal, and we're able to do that. So I'll let probably Tom just answer that question. What do you think on, do we have, again, looking at it 2 years from now, we'll be in Rio and the Olympics. We were there already, obviously, for the World Cup, but the young players like we did 2 years ago.
I think it's solid. I mean, I think you've got the likes of Rodolfo Pizarro at Pachuca, and Pachuca, I think they're going to be the real bedrock of the team. I mean, Irving Lozano as well is absolutely on fire at the minute, and just a really exciting prospect. Yeah, I mean, who else you've got? The likes of Espericueta, who hopefully will come through in Villarreal this season. Luis Loroña at Puebla is getting minutes. Kubo Torres, he's desperate to play the Olympics, and I think he's going to be there. I think he's going to be the main striker. So I think there's plenty of raw talent there. I mean, they mentioned on the chat Briseño as well, another player that seems to be like the first substitute now for Tigres. So he might start to get minutes. So that'll be good. Arturo Gonzalez, Atlas. Absolutely brilliant these last couple of weeks as well. I think Mexico are going to have a good team. Whether it's going to be as good as the one from 2 years ago, I doubt at the minute. It depends on the development, obviously, between now and then. But you look at that team, and you had the likes of someone like Giovanni Dos Santos, which was already proven in Europe. So I think it's going to depend as well on what goes on between now and a couple of years. But I think Mexico are going to have a good team in Rio 2016.
Definitely. Jason, what do you? How about your thoughts? Can it happen again 2 years from now? Looking obviously at the anniversary of this great gold medal, great time, obviously historic win for Mexico. One of the, I think, biggest wins in the history. If we put all the trophy case on, probably the most relevant, and what we did to Brazil, and a great team like that Neymar, Hulk, all the great players were there on that evening, that morning at Wembley Stadium. What are your thoughts, Jason?
I just think it certainly could happen again. Like we have in Mexico at the moment, we have the youth systems that are something that Mexico can be pretty proud of at the moment, where you really have a real focus on youth development, that we're getting a lot of these players experience and time playing, whether it's in the U20 sides and working up, and a lot of these, and at the different clubs, they're really getting some time at, depending on the club, I would say, but they're getting some time in the top leagues and becoming proven players. So, it's possible, but at the same time, we're looking at 2 years from now, and we're talking about a single elimination tournament, and so it's beyond a crapshoot. But at the same time, of course, I think like all signs are proving like heading in the right direction, that the Mexico youth system is pretty strong at the moment, and the club teams are providing a strong youth instruction. So there's hope there, but at this time, like, I don't know, who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you got the likes of Abella, Santos Laguna, Escobosa as well. You know, I think just having a think then when Jason was speaking, I mean, you look at it, and I don't know if Daniel Rodriguez, the Chivas goalkeeper, is eligible. I don't think he is. But, you know, you can see that there is a decent team, you know, being put together. And you've got the base of it can be that 2011 under-17 World Cup winning team as well. You can have a few of those players hopefully coming through. So, yeah, but to match the London 2012, you know, Diego Reyes, when you think about it, Mier and all that, I mean, that was a top team.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it made them a top team afterwards. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, yeah, Diego Reyes was always good, you know, or Mier and all the other players, Aquino, but I think the 2012 Olympics obviously made them. So we don't know. I mean, who knows how, you know, obviously Kubo Torres or the other youngsters, Pericueta, since he's already known, and since obviously from the 2011 under 17, you know, World Cup champions, you know, will those be able to make that jump? And obviously adding the other veteranos, so, you know, the over 23 players that they have that we can ever do. So I think it could happen. I think it's expected now, and I think that's great that we have, you know, done it before. Now we can do it again. What's the difference? Just like the under 17, every time that that World Cup comes on, now we're expected. I think that's what happens when you become a World Cup. I mean, a world team, you know, a world-class team in those tournaments. And I think they look at Mexico as having great youth development. And teams are looking a little differently to us when they're facing us. Just like we're not scared if it's in Italy, if it's a Uruguay, if it's a France in the youth level system, we can beat anybody. And we're actually, the mentality is there. And it's great for us to have that confidence. It's something that I think we lack sometimes. So.
I interviewed a couple of months ago now the director of national teams. I'm just trying to translate it in my head. Like the director of Mexican national teams. So he oversees kind of the female side, the men's side, and all the age groups. You know what I mean? He's kind of in charge of it all, but the logistical side. And Dennis de Klosse is from Holland, and one of the interesting things he said was that a few years back, I'm talking like 5 to 10 years ago, Mexican teams, the national team wouldn't get invites to tournaments. And these days, you follow the Mi Selección Twitter account, and like the under 18s are in China and the under 21s are in Ireland or something, and it's like they're going all over the world. And these guys that are coming through now should be very prepared. I mean, this isn't like Carlos Salcido, who was washing cars outside, Guadalajara bus station, happened to, by chance play a trial game at Chivas and get a job. I mean, these guys have traveled from a young age. They should know how to look after themselves. They should know how to, be a lot more professional than the Mexican players were back in the day. So I think it's another plus for the youth system. And I agree totally with what Jason said. I mean, the US-Mexico rivalry, is massive, and in a lot of respects, you see the US now, picking up and growing. I mean, obviously, you've had this, World Cup and everyone going crazy about the TV numbers, and and MLS obviously growing, getting in good players. But it was interesting, Guardiola, when he came to New York with Bayern Munich, he said what the US needs to do is overhaul the youth system, and it needs to focus completely on producing youth and training people how to train youth. And I think he's 100% right, and I think it's an area of the game where Mexico is quite a long way advanced at the minute compared to the United States.
Definitely. Well, great insights on, obviously, the World Cup. I mean, the Olympic team in 2 years, and we'll see where that's going. Obviously, there's got to be a qualifying time, and I think it'd be great. I know that Piojo will not be a part of it, as other coaches would like to be a part of it, and would leave that to the coaches and his staff on what's happening. So 2 years ago, again, the famous Oro. If you haven't watched that documentary, the Oro documentary, definitely watch it. Luis Tena, just an amazing speech that he had before the game, talking about that. So, all right, let's move on. Any more, talks about the Mexicans abroad, El Tri so far, Jason, or or Tom, I know Guardalo's having an amazing preseason with Valencia. I haven't seen him be that fast, have that much control with. I mean, I don't know if I've missed out in the Guardalo of 2006. I remember I went to his very first El Tri game against Hungary, and I saw something in him, and I seriously I just saw a replay of his game, and it was amazing on what he's doing. Just a different player on the new position, which is Piojo's. What he had in Piojo installed that planted the seed, and now the Valencia coach is obviously playing him in that, and he's doing great, being a leader and taking responsibility for the team in the midfield. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was awesome.
Yeah, and on Tuesday tomorrow it's Valencia against Manchester United, so that should be fun to watch.
Where are they playing, Tom?
Playing at Old Trafford. It's like the the pre-season kind of opener, get everyone excited in Manchester.
All right. Well, good. Any news on Chicharito that we can know, that we can talk about? I mean,
getting a bit annoyed by it, me. I'm getting a bit sick of it now. I'm not going to lie. It's like, the Daily Mail, the UK publication, it's not the best. I mean, honestly, I've seen some of the reporters down in Mexico and how the stories turn out, and, they're a long way from what goes down. So it's not the best. I mean, they said Chicharito's definitely going, and then ESPN Mexico today came out with, wait up. That's too hasty. I mean, he might well start for tomorrow for Manchester United against Valencia. I think Danny Welbeck's got a bit of an injury. Robin van Persie's not quite fit yet, so he might well start. And I think it's still a little bit up in the air. I think he's probably got a price on his head at the minute, and if someone come in and play it, I think it'll be a lot of money. And don't forget Chicharito. I think a lot of people do forget he's on massive wages. He's on absolutely huge wages, Chicharito. I mean, he might not be one of the highest earners at Manchester United, but it's very difficult for another team to come in and pay him the same amount of money as Manchester United will. And on the flip side of that is that, in terms of marketability, there's very few players in the world that can compete with him. I mean, he's just still very highly marketable. So, will Manchester United want to actually get rid of that? Van Gaal's not one really for seeing the marketing side of things, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I'm getting sick of it every day. It's like, yeah, he's definitely going, and then he's like, no, he's staying. And I don't know. I've dealt with Chicharito's agent before, and I think he's pretty professional. He goes about business his own way, and I just think a lot of the journalists at the minute are feeding off scraps, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's just all talk. I mean, you have this guy who we certainly want to go, but at least some of us do. And but it's overdue, and I think I think there's some truth to the, maybe I mean I know a lot of people probably wouldn't be too excited about the Juventus move, but I could see that of all the moves, I could see that being a realistic one, because there's a team that can't afford the wages, and there's a team that it's not Liga, but at the same time, to a big club there, he's going to get the regular playing time. That's a move that I'd like to see happen. And if it is like that I mean, swap for Arturo Vidal kind of situation, it's a pretty good situation for Manchester United there. So I think they're probably getting the winning side of that if something like that actually did happen. But who knows what of that is actually true.
All right, and Chicharito, obviously the news, every day there's something going on. Last time we heard, I guess him and Kaká was going to, obviously, Atletico or some other team, but I guess Raul just beat him to it and took his spot, like someone is saying on the chat right now. PIFF, man. Raul took Chicha spots to at Madrid. So definitely very fun on the interaction on the right with what many comments are saying. Leonardo da Vinci saying Juventus is his best move. MIK, J48, hilarious. I need to know what Chicha jersey to buy. Obviously, definitely very marketable, like Tom said. So we'll switch it over, guys. Mexicans abroad, always the season's about to start soon, and looking to see the great player. We'll definitely tune in tomorrow, Tom, obviously, for the Valencia game, and that would be great if Chicharito does start, and with, obviously, Guardado against him. Let's switch it over with Liga MX really quick. I know keeping the show a little shorter tonight, but on what big stories? America, right? Still winning, still being at the top. Atlas, like Jason has said before, obviously the team to beat. But what are your thoughts, especially with America? Can they keep doing what they're doing? And another question, do they have someone to replace Raul? What's going on? So Jason, take it over with Liga MX news, also with what's going on with Liga MX all around, aside from America, and the top stories and getting us information on what's going on with the league.
Sure. I mean, America, they got the big win. That's 4 wins in a row now, 4 straight games. So beautiful start. I think before the season they brought in the Jimenez replacement with River. I don't think the plan was ever to be long-term plan was going to be Jimenez and Peralta up there. I mean, that's a beautiful thing if that was going to happen. I think Peralta was brought in the thought that probably Jimenez was going to be moving on. Was there? I mean, you move in Luis Array. Perfect, but Peralta top makes a lot of things work, and that's what you do. This is big for America, but it's not something where they're going to be devastated by it. I mean, the team is absolutely stacked, and you have players like Layun really kind of coming into form again and really performing at the club level. So it's exciting for the team, and it looks like they're definitely primed for a big run through the league, similar to what they did. I guess that was about a year ago, where they really kind of stamped their foot down and kind of puffed out their chests, and looks like they're ready to do that again. Other than the league, I think I think one of the funnier games was Friday night, where you had Morelia and Tijuana play to a scoreless draw. Like the team that can't score and really hasn't scored a goal in 4 games, and the team that can't win on the road play to a scoreless draw. The most predictable ending to any game you could possibly imagine that was going to happen. If they weren't going to win and they weren't going to score. So that was a good one. And the most surprising one for me was Veracruz getting a win. Against Montreal. The first 75 minutes of that match absolutely dominated Veracruz, but couldn't get more than the 1 goal, and then Veracruz comes back and gets 2 goals at the end. Huge for the relegation fight, because they looked like they were not going to get any wins, really, because they looked terrible. And so that's a big one, and really terrible for Los Negros, who just look like they're in all kinds of trouble. They got the draw there, but that looks like best case scenario for them, unfortunately.
They got a point, which is more than Morelia can say. Who's in trouble? Veracruz getting some points. I mean, still, who will get the first win? Tom, would it be Leones Negros, or would it be Morelia?
I don't know. Neither are good. There are a few teams at the minute that just aren't looking good. You've got Puebla as well, who are looking pretty awful. Morelia, Tijuana not looking good. Who else? Pumas are looking awful. Quite a few teams. Quick thing about the America game. I thought Tony Mohamed, the America coach, thought it was brilliant. I thought it was a brilliant performance by him. I thought that Tigres, one of the teams in the Liga MX that most like to have the ball. I mean, and I thought America were just happy to give him the ball. Then they got it off him and just hit him quickly on the counter-attack and won the game 2-0 quite comfortably in the end. So I thought that Mohamed deserves a lot of credit for coming in and taking over from Miguel Herrera and getting the team working to his liking. I thought the other thing is Chivas, 3-0 loss against Pachuca. I mean, the stadium was majority Chivas fans. They've come back off a tour of the United States, one of Mexico's biggest clubs, going up there for the prestige, the PR, probably a few dollars thrown in there as well. But this is a team in a relegation battle. This is a team that's desperate to pick up points. And I thought that Saturday's performance and result was pretty dire. I mean, I think there's some real problems there now for Chivas. I know me and you, Wiso, we've disagreed a bit, but I honestly think that Chivas, it's hard to kind of understand and put into words why a player like Aldo de Nigris can come to Chivas and be as poor as he was on Saturday. Omar Bravo, who was ripping it up for Atlas, comes to Chivas, doesn't play well. Carlos Fierro, one of Mexico's brightest young talents a couple of years ago has just gone downhill. Chaton Enriquez linked with the likes of Arsenal a couple of years ago. He's just it's like becoming a bit of a joke. I mean, he's not getting playing time. He's on Instagram more than playing on the pitch. Carlos, Pereira the other day was awful as well. It's like, how can all this be happening at Chivas? What's going on? There's like a dark atmosphere, a dark cloud over the club, and I think the biggest question at Chivas at the minute is, it's quite a big question, but can this club be successful under Vergara? What does he's done the changes. What more can he do in terms of changes? He's changed the coach every few months. He changes the sporting director every now and then. He plays with the young players. He takes the young players out and buys experienced players, and it still doesn't work. I mean, we'll see in the next few weeks, but on Saturday's performance, I mean, it's not looking good at all for Chivas.
Because Reina was missing. That's the key. They're telling you. It's every time he does not play in the game or something happens, this guy, I think they're relying on him. I give hope to the Chivas fans. Everything will turn out right. But I don't think there'll be a relegation. I don't think they'll get relegated. I mean, I know they look
that's
horrible.
That's terrifying. You're relying on Reina like he's your guy. Like he's going to be the guy you lean on. Oh boy.
Yes.
The problem with Chivas, you brought in guys that they're just not that good anymore. Like Aldo Negras, why did Monterrey let him go? Like they let him go because he wasn't performing for them. He went to L3, he wasn't performing for them. So I mean, then Chivas bought him. It was the big move, but at the same time, this is a player that was slumping. Like he wasn't performing like he was in his earlier days. Omar Bravo, I had to sit through a year of season ticket Cruz Omar Bravo play in front of me, being the worst player on the pitch. I mean, I'm serious when I say this, the worst player out there. So he went to Atlas and had a bit of rejuvenation, but you're depending on him to be your guy. Like Omar Bravo's a fine player, but if you're depending on him to be your guy that's going to be up there scoring the goals, I'm sorry.
And Angel Reina as well. I mean, that's no guarantee.
No. I mean, you brought in these. It's names. They brought in names. And you're gonna have these down moments. So Fierro's gonna have some troubles. He's gonna miss some open goals. But at the same time, Chivas is at the point now where they can't afford any missteps, because they've built themselves such a hole by firing managers every 4 months and changing regimes constantly that there's no stability. So, when there's a slight downturn, everything turns to chaos, and you have no way to dig out because you have to constantly try to overhaul this team, and it's just a mess at the moment.
It's a mess, definitely, for sure. Looking at the conversation on the chat, bring Bofo back. Bofo's even scoring. Luis de Anda, Ponce leaves Chivas World Cup spot. Fabian, same. Chateau needs to take notes and leave. Jake Dank says, I think they could go down. The owner needs to go as well. Dude is an idiot. Obviously, a lot of fans are talking back, what's going on. On the Chivas, and obviously one of the most popular teams, if not the most popular team out there.
All right, let's have a bet. Carlos Bustos as Chivas manager. How long is he going to last? I'm going to say 6 weeks.
6 weeks
from now. 6 weeks from now.
6 weeks.
I think they're going to attempt to give him a bit of time, but not really, if you know what I mean.
All right.
I'll give it 6 weeks.
I think he's going to stay. I'm telling you. I think it's just rough. Come in, get it together. I saw some glimpses of a good Chivas. What game was it? I don't know.
Pumas.
Earlier in the game, maybe against Pumas. There was something there when Raul, and obviously the only game. I'm telling you, I think if it clicks, it'll be fine. I don't think he's going to be fired. Jason, what do you think? He's going to be fired in the next couple 6 weeks? Tom says.
No, I think he sees out the season, and he goes through the winter, and then about 2 or 3 days before the clausura kicks off, then he's fired.
On the chat, obviously, Bobby Peru saying Angel Reina is a double agent for America. 2 weeks, giving 4 days. There is a lot of fun going on if you're not on that chat, but obviously, just taking over on what's going on with the Liga MX really quickly on the scores. Morelia, like he said, 0-0, still winless against Tijuana, who also isn't playing as great. Veracruz getting a win over Monterrey, even though obviously Darlon Pavon's goal in the 7th minute gave him the lead. Cruz Azul 1-0. Your Cruz Azul, who's still not looking as a team, but obviously got a win over Puebla, the cement mixers, as they like to be called. Tigres, obviously losing in America, and we talked about America steamrolling everybody, being at the top. Pachuca 3, obviously 0 over the Guadalajara is what we talked about. Chiapas giving León, Gullit Peña scoring, obviously Moracelli scoring. A great first half for the current champions, but yet coming back, Chiapas taking the game 3-0, obviously, on what's happening. So a very misleading score, but it looks like, León doesn't have a defense. Rafa Marquez leaving. They're still looking for the back, and it's definitely upsetting to us León fans. What's going on? Obviously, Atlas being up there, 1-0 beating Pumas, and Leones Negro getting a point against Toluca, the Diablo Rojos, on what's going on. So looking at the standings, Club America, no surprise, and Atlas giving us run for money with 10 points. But we have Querétaro. And I remember, Jason, you're looking at Querétaro in your Liga MX preview. You said there would be surprises and what's going on. So looking at the top 3, Querétaro, Atlas, and America, is it justifiable on this, or are they getting lucky with their wins, Jason?
I mean, they're going to continue to give teams problems. They have enough talent on that squad. They have enough pace on that squad and attack that they're going to give everyone a tough challenge, and they're going to drop some games they shouldn't drop. They're going to be that middling team. They're going to end up around 7 to 10 in the standings, and they're going to be right there. But yeah, dangerous team. They could win any game. Exciting team to watch every week as well. So definitely a team to watch. A lot of exciting players in that team.
All right. Well, obviously looking to see what's happening next week, but we'll stay in tune. All right, well, we're finishing the show, especially for our first live show. We apologize, a little choppy, still getting the controls right, multitasking on what's going on, looking at obviously doing this every Monday night, and if we need to switch it over, we'll see that. Also, we'll be coming on throughout the week. If there are news that we can jump on, we'll let you know with what's happening with the Mexican Soccer Show and its new live content. But any last thoughts? Let me go ahead and read some other questions or comments from the chat. Vergara and Jerry Jones should open a burger joint and quit sports. Definitely very funny coming in from Abuelito71. What time is the Valencia game?
What would that be called?
What time is the Valencia game? Tom obviously tweeted out, in the chat, 1:30 p.m. Mex time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, so definitely you can talk to us. Jake Dank, after what Chepo did to El Tri, he shouldn't be allowed to coach anymore. And question for Mexican, will Carlos Vela play tomorrow? I think he is injured still. Or are there any news?
Playing. Yeah, he's not playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not.
All right, guys. Well, if we missed any of your questions, you can always, find us on Twitter, futmexsource.com. at futmexsource, or our website, futmexsource.com. I am Wiso at Wiso Vasquez. Tom, also at Mexico World Cup, correct? And Jason with Soccer Mexicano, who always gives you a good wrap-up of what's going on the week. A big Cruz Azul fan. So this has been a live, super special Mexican Soccer Show. We'll be working on the kinks on what's going on with sounds. I've heard there was maybe some background in there that we need to look at, but we always evolve, obviously, on this show. And your feedback is definitely well taken, and we will not fall on deaf ears, guys. Jason, you need to upgrade your internet. Choppy all day, son, coming from some comment.
Yeah, it's solid. I'm in Mexico on my
internet cafe. This is not good. Okay, I'll do what I can.
Maybe when you get to Philadelphia, you'll get some quality internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll prove this Jersey internet's so good apparently. So.
All right. Well, again, this has been a special edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. We'll hope to join us. You can always watch these shows. If you're listening live, you caught us at the end. There will be posted the link on YouTube and what's going on. So definitely stay and keep watching the games. A lot of soccer games coming on, a lot of football in the next coming days, even before the weeks of the European League start, obviously, but we're going on. So, nope, no last words.
No last words.
No last words.
Until next week.
Until next week. All right, Jason. Last words for Jason. No, everyone. No one has last words.
No words.
No words.
I am lost for words.
All right, we're lost.
Mostly lost. Like
So,
I really heard about that internet comment, whoever it was.
Yeah,
Okay.
it hurt me deep.
All right, guys. Well, we'll sign off. We're going to stop broadcasting now. Definitely share it, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Have fun. No music to key in this time. Sorry.